Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. I don't understand what he said. Hopefully, I can cover your expectations. Good afternoon. I'm very honored to be here. I'm probably the only one here from Barcelona. I have a Spanish passport. I'm not so sure what does this mean. I have to check with Valdemar, I think, because he spoke about Spanish and Italian people about gestures. And I don't know if this is a Spanish gesture, ole, ole, flamenco. But that's also stereotyping, and stereotyping is not good. So we have always to try not to make a stereotype. Doesn't mean that because I'm Spanish, I like bullfighting, for example. So we always have to really, the best way to know and understand people is to ask them face to face, and not to make assumptions. It's a honor. It's a honor to be here, so many people from the HR business, or from the HR function, but I'm also, it's a honor knowing that I'm the speaker number 19. So it has been a very long day for you. And what happens many times when you go to a conference is that you listen many things repetitive, but not because being repetitive, they are bad. And the idea behind those conferences most of the time is that you can confirm what happens in your companies with what you listen from our experiences. Yes, I'm Alberto, I'm from Barcelona, and I work for more than 30 years already at Swarovski. I'm very proud. When I started in Swarovski, I was 21 years old, so now you can calculate my age. And I tell you something, I had no idea about business with 21. And I have done my career at Swarovski, always in sales, always close to the customer. But 5 years ago, I decided to change again in my company. I have been living in different countries, managing different businesses. And similar to our CEO colleague before, I decided to move also to HR. It sounds easier. I have not seen HR people moving to business. And I have the same feeling that our colleague before who said, I learned a lot in HR. But I tell you also something, 5 years ago, I had no idea about HR. I had no idea. And it was very difficult to me and for me to understand. Today, we have listened many presentations, and I would like to ask you, please, now change your HR brain and think like an employee. Think like an employee. Think like, I don't know, a cabin crew in Finnair, a pilot in Air Baltic Airlines. Think like a person who works during 8 hours in a call center in the Deutsche Telekom, that we heard also. Think like one of our blue-collar people in our factories working 8 hours every day, gluing crystal stones from right to left into the metal parts in order to generate beautiful products. Think like our colleagues in McDonald's or in Swarovski in our shops, opening at 6 o'clock in the morning in the airports, in our duty-free shops, for example. Opening at 6 o'clock in the morning, doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sundays, and you have to be in front of the customers. Think, please, like an employee. And now think what we have listened today, if you would have understand something. If you would have the feeling, what's in for me? What are these people talking about? What I can feel about everything what we are talking. And what happens many times in HR is that we are looking mega trends, we are looking the future, we are looking for digitalization, we are always looking for the future, but what we are not doing, and luckily, is looking for today. And we need to make sure that our employees are feeling now what we want that they feel. I had a little bit of problems. I should quit this presentation because most of the things here may sound for Niels bullshit. Hopefully not. Or others saying surveys. Okay, let's start with surveys, but we have to know the answer or the objective before the survey, like Raimundo's told us. But I want to make a survey. Please, hands up. Who really believes that engagement or highly engaged employees perform better? Can you share with me? So a big majority, you believe on that. I fully agree with you. It's not 100% correct, but I fully agree, especially because there are here 3 different researches that really shows that when you have highly engaged employees, there are some different KPIs, business indicators, that are improving also in your company. Lower absenteeism, better productivity, better customer satisfaction. There are many different ones, financial success and all these kind of different. So there are lots of success. But why is sometimes for us in HR so difficult to make the link with our business colleagues, to tell them, look, if you have engaged employees, it will be easier for you to reach your objectives. And one of the main reasons is because our leaders, our business leaders, they don't focus on engagement. They have to focus on the company objectives. And the company objectives mainly are tops and bottom lines objectives, having good sales and having good profits, and not engagement employees. We in HR try to explain our leaders that having engaged employees will help them. And the biggest problem is, and here I want to show you the engagement score of our last employee survey that we did at Swarovski, but by tenure. So you can see here the split between, this is the overall 67 favorable score on engagement, which is in average. We are lower than McDonald's, so McDonald's is much better in terms of engagement than we are. Depends also how you measure it. I'm proud about that. But what we can see is that those employees who are less than 1 year are 5 points more engaged than, for example, those who are 10 or more years in our company. And it's very funny because this also you can split it and really look into it. This is not working. So I have to look here because this is not working. And you know that there are different questions behind to measure this index. And these questions are, in any case, less than 1 year employees are always more engaged. We call them in HR the honeymooners. They just arrived. They just signed the contract. They are very happy, but they are not performing really good. We did a test, a business case at Swarovski, and we took in one country all our retail colleagues in the shops and separate them between those who were less than 3 months in our company, with those who were more than 2 years. And we find out that those who were more than 2 years in our company were performing by 30% more the different KPIs that we measure in sales. So even if they were, those of 2 years, less engaged, they are performing better. I destroyed my business case. So then engagement does not drive performance. I don't know. Difficult, for the business colleagues. So then I said, okay, I will try to put 2 pictures. And now you have to tell me, you can guess, who of these 2 humans are more engaged. If you can guess, you are fantastic. I cannot, because I don't see the people here. But what I know is that this one most probably will perform better than this one. Most probably. And it's not because of engagement. It's because something else. It's because the working environment is better. It's because the tools, the information, and this is what we call also in many scenarios the engagement. Sorry, the enablement, how much enabled they are. That's one of the reasons why a new employee needs first to pass an onboarding process in our companies in order to really become effective in our company. And this is also one of the reasons why there are many international consulting companies, here you have a few examples, that they have in the framework, when they do employee surveys, they have in the framework not only the topic of engagement, but also the enablement, energizing, or say, stay, strive. There are different ones. At Swarovski, we use, the last years, the one that we saw today also by our colleagues from Confer and Hay Group. And we are using the idea that highly engaged and highly enabled employees become effective employees. We also heard that if you are very, very, very engaged, it's very interesting, if you are very, very, very engaged, but you don't feel enabled, if you want to do things you want, but you can't, at a certain moment you become frustrated. And a frustrated employee is also it's a big problem for our companies. Okay? So engagement, highly engaged employees who are not enabled become frustrated after a certain time. And we have to take about them. Okay? Now, but who should we engage and enable? And this is why I ask you, think on the employee level, please. It's not because, I don't want to show here the hierarchy, the organigrams, because if not, Niels will see this is bullshit again, okay? It's not my intention, it's simply because of the number of people involved, okay? Who are the customers for HR? Who is really the customer of HR? And this is what we have to really to consider. And it's clear that the main customer for HR is at this level. And if you don't agree with me, I will test with you something. If I put my CEO and the top managers during 3 months in a sabbatical program, my company will continue working. But if I put my factory and my shops, all the employees that are there in a sabbatical, I will have to close my business. Who really drives performance is in this level. And not only that, and this is probably a little bit provocative, We tend, some of us in HR, tend to make engagement programs to this level of people. But come on, if I'm the CEO of my company, if I'm the owner of my company, if I'm paying the highest salaries to these people, I think that this must be given already. Those colleagues have to be part of the culture, have to be part of the values, the mission, and so on. And we in HR have to set the processes and the systems in an easy way to really make sure that these colleagues are highly engaged and are enabled. And logically, these ones also, because they are the drivers if we are not able to connect with thousands of employees in HR. We have to use the line management in order to connect with them. And we heard today good examples of McDonald's, daily examples. We heard a lot of visionary things in presentations, but McDonald's told us exactly what they're doing today. I like this presentation very much. Okay, so one time we know that, what is then a positive employee experience? And here is where I have my own theory saying that there is a clear mismatch between the company purpose and an employee purpose. And I don't want to, we have seen already different reasons why employees are engaged or not. But they were telling us in a different perspective. I want to say the reasons for me as an employee. If I feel engaged. If I feel valued, or I feel that what I'm doing brings value to the company, I'm happy. If I feel then that I'm recognized, I feel joy with what I'm doing, and a feel of belonging, and I feel that I have a good future, then I feel engaged. This is what employees mainly want to feel. But this has a disconnection with the company purpose. And our leaders, the business leaders, are focusing most of the time on the company. And the company focus mainly, not for all the companies, logically, there are some companies that are not taking care of positive results in top and bottom line, but most of our companies, yes. This is not really the main purpose, because one time they have reached positive results, what they are every year requesting to the employees is growth. Growth, growth, and growth. And let's speak frankly with me. If I work in a company that is already generating 50 million euros profit, is it really, for me as an employee, important that next year they grow 2, 3, or 5%, or even decrease 2 or 3 or 5%? Does this change my feeling in the company? Does this change these feelings for me? Is this relevant for me as an employee? So we in HR have to work how to make sure that our employees may feel these 5 different feelings. And now I want to give you three things that we could do. Very easy. The first one, and we heard already, and this is the thing when you are one of the last speakers. The first one, it is our responsibility to understand better the business. We heard it already. We heard it already that in many cases we don't speak the same language than business. In many cases we don't even know what is the business objectives. In many cases we don't even understand what they are talking. And mainly what happens most of the times, business don't understand us. We do a similar program that what we heard today by McDonald's is these 5 practice days, I think he called them. And we also have it this. Sorry, I was too fast. I'm spending every year 10 days in the shops at Swarovski. And it's fantastic because I spent those days in Christmas where we have our sparkling season, where we really fill you female customers, with a lot of brilliant products and so on. And I spend there every year 10 days there. But not 10 days only to visit, 10 days to sell, to open the luggage, to bring goods in, to speak to the customers. But I also spend time with controllers, with accountants, understanding what means a budget, what is a profit and loss balance, what is a balance sheet, and all these kind of things. And when you understand this kind of business language, you can better adapt and talk to the business. The second one, and because most of us, we are probably doing employee surveys, would be not to say engagement drives performance, but to take the performance first. I recommend you, because business leaders have difficulties to really link this engagement with performance, I recommend you that you look first into the performance of your company in the previous year, then cluster the people that are working in this performance, and I explain you a very short example, and from that moment, make the employee survey, analyze the result, and try to find different patterns. So, for example, At Swarovski, we have 1,200 shops that we run directly with around 10,000 employees. If I know already the shops that performed best last year, and I put them in the different quartiles, and then I put the people inside that are working in there. And when I do the survey and I have the results, I check the different patterns. Maybe it's not engagement. Maybe it's environment. Maybe it was, I don't know, holidays. Maybe it was flexibility. Maybe it was sunshine. But we find, after the results of the survey, we find the different patterns. And then we explain these patterns to the business leaders. Say, look, in the shops where you were performing best last year, they don't criticize that. It's a fact. What we found out is these different directions that drives performance. We know that it's engagement, but there are many things that drives engagement. And last but not least, the third thing I would like to do, if you want to use the employee survey results, is business leaders are used to get smart objectives, to get really objectives that are measurable. So why we don't use, again, from the different questions, you cannot read them, it's not my intention that you read them, from the different questions in your survey, why we don't create indexes that are fitting to your culture. Indexes that if you say in our culture innovation is a topic, then try to find in your different questions in the survey that you are doing, those questions that fit to the innovation index, and then try to give a KPI to the leaders and tell them, look, this is your KPI, this is your index today. For the next survey, compared with the other teams, for the next survey you have to try to increment this index by 2 or 3 percentile points. Very short summary. Understand the business. So don't forget that we have to be close to the business. We have to speak business language. The second one, start with the performance. When you will try to convince business leaders about engagement and engagement driving performance, take first the performance. This is clear. This is a fact. And then measure engagement. And then last but not least, try to define cultural KPIs that this will help to the leaders to really work in a smarter way with the different topics of engagement. And now I want, again, your brain is no more HR, your brain is, again, employee. Employee in call centers, employee in production, employees, okay? And the 5 things I said, if you or I feel that what I do brings value to the company, if because I bring value to the company, I'm recognized simply by saying thank you or rewarded fairly. If I have joy in what I'm doing, and this is the most difficult part, when you have to glue crystals from one side to the other, how can I make sure that I have joy? But if I have joy, if I wake up on Monday morning happy because I can go to work, if I have a feel of belonging, I'm not alone. That's part of a project. That's part of a team. And logically, I see that my future is bright. And most probably, and here I would like that you're with me, I will be highly engaged and actively participate in the success of my company or the company objectives. Thank you very much.